Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? It looks like you might be able to. Okay, cool. How you doing, Lisa? How was your day today? Oh my God, Rain on the Plains is here. My sister. I never see you up this late anymore. Hey, Goddess, what's up? Jeez, my shit buffering. Yeah, I had an okay day today, I guess. Hey, Lindsay, what's up? So I spent some time um, looking at people's live streams today, and strange. Seems like everybody's um, hey, Scott Balo. It seems like everybody's kind of emotional today, and I found that in my personal life, just like my boss was angry and just things like that. But I just tried to stay as positive as I could. That's all you can do, Don't feed the demons. And really, when you see like strife in your life, when things start to go bad, that's how you know you're on the right path. It's true. Lisa Payne says it was yesterday and the day before for her. Yeah. Just a kind of a strange day today, I think. Goddess is texting with all her peeps on Facebook. I mean, I know some people aren't all about like love and light or whatever, but you know, the alternative just makes you miserable. I mean, it's better to have like your cup half full, I think. Yesterday and today for you. Yeah, I mean, yesterday I was kind of in a ticky mood, but I got over it pretty quick. Oh, last night, I tried to lay down. I could not sleep. And so I got back up and I got on Dark Wolf's chat. Dude, that was pretty interesting if nobody has like been in his chat room before. He was sitting there looking at all these Bible changes and me and Scott Bailo were tearing that stuff down. It was great. We were just like he was like corn. He said corn's never been in the Bible. And so I was like, corn is like something that they use to poison our food. And my thing with the Bible changes is I think they're corrections. At least that's my latest theory about it. And man, when we started, Scott was in there too, and he was like, we were just kind of like pointing out different things and making some connections. It was pretty cool, because he started like, because uh, we were saying that, then he started like looking up these words and looking up like the origins of these words and what the root meanings were. I know it's Scotty Balo, but I can't get used to it now. I've tried to train myself not to call him that. Hey Ashley, have you live streamed yet, Ashley? You can do like I'm doing and use Google Hangouts. And see, that's what he was talking about, the GMO corn. Oh, you do the blood type eating? Oh Lord. That was cool, wasn't it, Scott? That was pretty awesome. Yeah, y'all should check out his live stream. It's pretty good. He's a good guy. I also watched, Ashley said I have, but it was awkward and annoying. I told you I'd be a guest. I'm sure Scott would. Yeah, you ought to get Lynn's too. She's awesome. Damn, I forgot what I was saying. I don't know. My brain is like fried today. I had a rough day at work. We had somebody call in and I just was running all day. Didn't really have a lunch break, that kind of thing. Just running all day long. Looks like I'm changing it back. Hey, Patrick, how are you doing? Yeah, I tried to watch I watched MA's live stream. I mean, with his, I have to sit there and kind of like skip through them. I don't know. It used to not be like that for me, but now, I mean, it's like so many. He talks about a lot of stuff that I just don't know about, like different things that are kind of like British history things, and I just can't. I mean, I just don't know any of that stuff. I wasn't real. I wasn't very pleased with the whole Masonic order thing because I mean, I do have firsthand knowledge that I was raised by those people. So there's that. Lynn said she ate seaweed and chocolate for lunch. Mm. Yeah, like I ran home, let my dogs out, had like some avocado on bagel chips. I mean, I was at home for 10 minutes and I went right back to work. But I'm lucky I only live about between 5 and 10 minutes away from my work, depending on the traffic. So I mean, I can run home. Yeah, I had to. I'm sorry, I had to cut out of your live stream, Patrick. I had to eat. Rain says I hardly ever get the British references, but I just put it on fast speed. Yeah. She said, Martha, my biological grandfather was a 33-degree Mason. I want to show you a picture of him and see what you notice. Okay. Yeah, the 33rd degree is it's part of like the upper level of like the regular Masonic order. Yeah, they have lots of different factions or whatever, but I mean, my grandfather was an odd fellow, and my dad was in the Order of the Oculus. So, I was supposed to be a politician's wife. It was this guy, and he owns I'm not going to say his name because he owns a coffee business in New Orleans. And he ran for public office a few times. I mean, he did some stuff on the local level there, but he never was really successful. Go to 66, not that I'm aware of. I mean, but of course, like I was a woman. I wasn't. I mean, women being Masons is new for me. That's a Mandela effect for me because I was not raised that way. Women were in the you know, you'd be in the Eastern Star Society. Um, like I'm a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Daughters of Runnymede, that kind of thing. Thank you. Well, there is. I mean, Rain on the Plains is like I thought there was a secret upper level of something. Yeah, I mean, there's the 33rd degree is like the upper level of like just regular people that they're in the Masonic orders. Then they have other societies, and it's all about who you're related to. It has nothing to do with like you working your way up or anything. You got a DAR award in the seventh grade? Yeah, I did when I was younger. I won like there was like a poetry contest, and there was a tea like for the girls, and I won like a poetry contest. I was in the paper when I was a little kid, but they do. I mean, it's true they do a lot of social work and things like that. But is DAR occultish? Oh, see, if you qualify, we were definitely related. Um, I mean, the people who are eligible to join DAR, you have to be asked. Like, you can't just like go and say, "Hey, I want to join." But the people that are eligible for it typically are from these bloodlines. So, I mean, it isn't in and of itself, but you know, there's a connection. But at any rate, no. So, I mean, I never like to see. I don't know. I don't ever like to see people. I don't know. Speak about things they don't really know. You know what I mean? And there are things that I just don't know because I'm a girl. You know, it's the way it was. Rain says she said I have relatives that are on the qualified list. Yeah, I mean, for one said I just sent my second DNA thing to Ancestry, so we'll see. You know, that Ancestry thing is just kind of strange to me. And the reason it is because I don't know if there's enough of a database to really say where you're definitively from, you know? I mean, I think there is a large database, but I just don't think. I mean, and they talk about it. Like I've seen, people talk about it. I've seen, and I've heard people personally like just talk about, it just seems like you get lumped into like these large categories. Like it's not specialized enough. I would like to see it when it's specialized. I might do it. Rain on the plains. I don't want anybody to have records of my DNA. Well, that's not a choice for me anymore. Says my brother and I have different dads, so we wanted to do it. Yeah, see, that would be interesting to do it for those reasons. Masons aren't in ancestry.com. None of them are. Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. That's one of the things I don't know. Yeah, and for adopted people, I could see adopted people wanting to do that. Poppy said, I'd like to see my DNA, but then they sell your info. Oh, what, like your personal info, like your address and things like that? Hey, did anybody see Jason Christopher's stream yesterday where he was having the call-in show? That was pretty fun. I mean, he looked like he was enjoying himself. My aunt put my info into a tree without my knowledge, so I'm already out there. Oh, great! Don't you love it when people do shit like that? Says we have Poppy Elm says we have to for our son now to see if the autism is genetic. Hey, Dark Wolf. I was just talking about how awesome it was last night on your stream. We're putting all those clues together. Because I really think, my opinion is that the Mandela effect is kind of like an organic thing. I see you waving at me, Ashley. But yeah, and Goddess says she didn't have her name on mine before that. Yeah, that's shitty. Dark wolves in the house. Yeah, but I think it's important to, I think that Patrick was asking me earlier. He was saying, do you think that the Mandela effect is the God or is God or the devil? And I really think it's our Creator. You know, it's whatever set this in motion. And of course, like I think that evil's going to try to infiltrate. I mean, it's a world of dualities, so evil is going to try to infiltrate. But it's all about perception. It's how you choose to look at everything. Yeah, that was awesome last night, though. Being able to sit there and have a list of Bible changes and see what specifically has changed. And then he would go and look up the origin of the word. And, their language is very powerful. It's very powerful. And, you know, sometimes I wish I was more careful about what I say, you know? I mean, if you think about it, like the word television, it's tell a vision, you know? When you're spelling, I mean, it's the same as casting a spell. I'm sure we've all, maybe delved into that at one point or another. It seems like a lot of us, have knowledge of, different things out there. It seems like those of us who can see these changes are kind of open-minded individuals, and we were already aware that things weren't, that we're being kind of lied to. Things are not what you think. Always felt like an outsider. You see things differently, you know, question authority. You question what's taught to you. If somebody tells me something, I'm like, well, why should I do that? Well, why? You know? And I think it's the ability to be able to see it, to see the changes. But earlier, wait, what? Dark Wolfston, what does knitting or crocheting have to do with DNA? Huh. That's interesting because you know what? I crochet constantly. I even have a like an old crochet page on Facebook. It's called Wind Moon Crochet. And that's my email address too. And I'll make baby blankets and stuff for people if they ask me to. But I can Irish crochet. I usually use like crochet thread. I make sweaters and different stuff. Oh, we were knit together in our mother's womb. Oh, I like that. I know that you can make with crocheting at least you can make like double helixes and things like that with it. Patrick's still waiting for his hat. Yeah, I need to do that. I'm finally finished with the other stuff I was doing. You need to give me your head measurement. You measure your head around the crown so I don't make it too big or too small. But yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that that we're being observed, that sometimes we're being if you listen, your environment is speaking to you. It's it's changing for you, it's trying to tell you something. I just really hold all of that to be true. And it depends on, your view in life as to, what you think it's trying to say. Ooh, I lost three people. They may, and that happens every time I start to speak about God and things like that, and that's okay. I mean, because I'm not ashamed of what I think. Says my favorite gifts for my first daughter was a crocheted blanket. I love handmade things, so sweet. Oh, yeah. I am going to make you. I mean, that's the thing. A hat, like measure your crown and just give me like a rough measurement. Use like a tape measure or something if that's all you've got. Um, but yeah, that takes me like an afternoon. I'm off tomorrow. I could make it tomorrow. Oh, what you think it's true that when you start to talk about religion, people disappear? Yeah, that's all right. I don't give a shit. I've had the experiences I've had, and I've seen both sides of it personally. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, really, if you show me something that's crocheted, I can make it. Like I can write the pattern for it. That's how long I've been doing it. I just enjoy it. When I first taught myself how to do it, I sat there with one of those beginner books and just made squares and pulled them out. So Dark Wolf says, I've talked about religion for my last 3 or 4 streams. I don't know. What do you want me to say again, Patrick? Sorry, that's my big dogs. One of the kids made a noise in the kitchen and they think it's an intruder. Oh, I got 11 again. Oh, Lord. And Poppy says, me too. I talk about what I want. Oh, yeah. Like, your environment will react to you. Like with me, if I ask for something or I want something, it just comes to me. Like, I had a sapphire ring that fell off of my finger, and it's my original engagement ring. And I was thinking, man, I really want like a band to hold my ring on, like a small, like 1 millimeter gold band. And I was pricing them at work, and I only paid 10% above cost. But I was like, man, I don't want to pay that much for it, and it would still end up being like $50 or whatever. And I was just like, man, I don't want to go through that. But I really wish I had one. And I swear, a customer came in like an hour later and was selling some gold. I'd waited on her like maybe 3 times. And I was like, ooh. And she was selling in a little band, just like the one I had been pricing and looking at. And I was like, ooh. I was like, you're selling this in? And I put it on my finger. I was like, damn, it fits. I was like, cool. I was like, I'm going to buy this. Because, the price of scrap gold's very cheap. So, the owner would just let me buy it for whatever he paid for it. And she was like, no, she's like, you know what? You've waited on us several times. You're always so nice to us. And she said, I know you don't get commission from these gold sales. She said, so you can just go ahead and have it. She just gave it to me. I mean, that's what I mean when I say that. I mean, sometimes I straight up see things, you know, not anything that isn't there, but like I'll see like energies or tracers, like I'm tripping on acid, just the visual part of it. Or I see people's colors or whatever. But like I can tell if somebody's upset just by looking at them. I can see like what's coming off of them. Just like, ugh, I don't go there. Let's see. Let's see what y'all been saying. I'm petting on my dogs. Let's see. Scott Baylor says if they're not open to other people's experience, that they aren't too open minded, fuck them. Yeah, I agree. I'm just ain't worried about it. I mean, I think you have to be pretty open minded to realize that you know, the past can change and the future's uncertain. Lynn says, "Me too. My intention works wonders. Usually, it takes a while, or it comes in a weird way, but I get things like that all the time. And I find the more that I meditate and restrict what I'm consuming, like the types of things I'm consuming, and I try to keep, you know, keep myself at a certain level, it just happens faster. And Poppy says, I figure the people who need to hear me will, and I don't worry about it too much. Yeah. And see, Dark Wolfston says, I've been waiting a year with my channel for people to really start hearing me until you guys came along. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think things occur at the right time, you know? So, I mean, that could be like an answer to your prayer. Do I see auras? Yeah, I see auras. Let's see. I've been able to see that since I was a kid, though. Jonah, how you doing? Let's see. Dark Wolfston says Jonah's been subbed to my channel for over the year. Scott Bailey says, "Is it like the video for Creep Radiohead? That's like an acid trip." I don't think I've ever seen that video. I mean, I used to hear it on the radio, but like, I mean, I don't know if you've, I'm sure you've tripped on acid, Scott Balo. Like, when you first start tripping and you look, like maybe you'll look at your popcorn ceiling or something and you notice like you can see patterns and colors, like an overglaze over everything. I see like that a lot of the time. Let's see. See, and Lindsay's like, I feel the same way. It hurts to hear and be around negativity. And I'm like that. I'm hyper empathetic too. So sometimes if somebody, a lot of times people want to tell me their problems. And if somebody's telling me like a traumatic event, it feels like in my chest and my stomach are like vibrating. And sometimes my teeth will chatter. And it gets so bad that sometimes I have to tell them, I love you, but I've got to go. Linsby says, my 2-year-old daughter fell over her boots and she says boops and hit her forehead today and it physically hurt me. Oh, I can remember one of my daughters when she was little. She came in from school one day and she was like, Mom, we went to the pepper rally today. And we still tease her about it. Let's see. Poppy says she'd like to see if her aura color has changed. I mean, in my experience, they change according to like your mood. There are some people, though, I'll see them in public and they've got the rainbow auras. And when I see that, I know that that person's awake usually, or they're just like really good people. The boops. I tripped over my boops. That's cute. Little kids are so sweet at that age. I've enjoyed mine at every age, though. Dark Wolfston says everyone who claims to see auras always tell me I have the same color, a light blue. That's interesting. Maybe I see energy and not auras. I've never like been a person who read people's auras, but to me, like I see a color signature. Corey J says I get something similar, Martha. Even my partner says, why are these people always uh, telling you their problems? I know it's like we're something rare. Let's see. Yeah, magnet for trauma. Yeah. Rain on the Plain says, mine was mostly orange. Someone said it, but it was a couple years ago. And I can teach you a trick to see auras. It's real easy. It's something that I was taught when I was a little kid. Like you stand a person, like in a well lit room, you stand a person up against a wall and you stare at their forehead. You know how sometimes you'll stare off and just stare at something for so long that it becomes kind of imprinted? So you just stare at their forehead until things start to look imprinted in your eyesight, and then you just look to the side on the white wall and you'll see their aura color. That's one way to train yourself. Yeah, purple aura is supposed to be cool. I don't know what it means though. Yeah, we all seem to be super empathetic. Yeah, and something Lynn's is saying she's talking about her baby. She's seriously the cutest kid, but says it's good to learn how to protect ourselves from other people's energy when they were telling us stories. Yeah. And a lot of times, like if somebody is, if they're like trying to steal my energy, sometimes I allow it. But sometimes, I mean, you can like, you just need to kind of break that connection sometimes and just walk off, and just tell them, oh, I got something to do, or, let me make a phone call. I just try to disconnect as fast as I can. Lindsay says, I remember doing that training as a kid. Yeah. I don't know, Corey. I've never seen you in person. I have so many issues with, I don't know. Sometimes I have issues with technology. So, I mean, but like if we met in person, I'd be able to see you just fine. Dark Wolf says, yours is Jade, of course. Rain on the Plain said, I did that once to see vibrations of the walls and the other objects. Shortly after that was when I was hearing music that wasn't there, like a Gregorian chant. Yeah, and I mean, I have problems with picking up radio transmissions. That's why the whole 5G thing makes me nervous. Um, I mean, because you don't really need that much power going to something, and if I mean, really, I mean, there are three in my general area. We live in an area that's like semi-affluent, and everything's brand new here. There's like brand new malls, all the shopping, all the shopping is like nice and open air and kind of like self-contained community type vibe to it. Um, so I mean everything's got like building standards. So everything looks really, really nice and new here. And there's probably within a 5 mile radius, if that, there's three. And they put them up in one day. I mean, they had crews working on them simultaneously, and they put them up. And man, I'm terrified of when they turn those things on, because we had one of those meters that they can read from the street. They came and installed it, and after that, I started getting sick, and my husband made them change it back to a normal meter. So I feel like I have like a sensitivity to it in a way. It makes me feel sick, and it makes it hard for me to sleep. So, and that's another reason we're buying this land, so I can get away from the all of the electricity. Let's see. Boops seals the deal. You'd probably be a good dad, Scott. Gotta have you a little one. I seem different today. What seems different about me, Corey? Am I feeling irritated? I had a bad day. I mean, when I walked into work, my oh, the smart meters, yeah, and it was right on the other side of my bedroom. Um, yeah, I mean, when I walked into work, we've been having issues with the floor. My boss had new flooring put in, and says Martha seemed pretty irritated yesterday, but I was, yeah, I mean, I was a bit irritated, but I mean, I have a boss that gets stressed out fairly easily, and it's a small environment. So I mean, so basically, like today, it was just me and his daughter-in-law and him and the jeweler who's in the back. And I mean, we're running like a store. I mean, sometimes there's like, you know, 5 to 7 customers in there, and they're waiting, and you're having to wait on multiple people. And he's a perfectionist, and everything is handwritten, and it has to be done a certain way. And there's like this like outrageous procedure for every single thing you do. So I mean, I make good money, but it's a rough environment and it's very competitive. So, I mean, because I have sales goals. I mean, like this month I have to sell $30,000. I have to deliver that. So, I'm working on special orders with people. Like, I'm sitting there like working with diamond customers, and these people are spending a lot of money, and it's, my if you don't make your quotas, I mean, you're fired. So it's a stressful job. Thank you, Corey Jade. I'll take that hug. I was irritated about just you know somebody I've never met, basically someone that I've never met in my life in person, and I've never seen. Like I've never laid eyes on this person on a live stream or anything, so I don't know what they look like. They were sitting there telling me that they know more about me than I do, and that's irritating to me. So that kind of stuff irritates me. I mean, don't sit there and tell me you know something about me when I don't even know who you are. And I've never met you. Plus, I have that boss to deal with. So, and then, today, like I get home and, the kids like, want my attention. And then, I've got this husband, he's like, want me to shave his head right before work. It's just, it just never ends. Like, are you going to feed me tonight? It's like, I work overtime every fucking week. Like, you can get something for yourself. So, and see, my husband makes he works for UPS and he makes such a high hourly wage that he really only has to work part time because he's been with them for so long, you know? I mean, he's approaching like $30 an hour. So he doesn't, and our insurance is free. Like when you're in the Teamsters union, like he is, and he views that as kind of income. And so I feel a lot of pressure to perform and make that commission payment. I mean, to get all that commission at the end of the month. And if I screw up on something, our boss like pulls our commission from that order. So I can sit there and sell a $24,000 ring, and I think I'm getting 5% of that. And then if I make a mistake on the ticket or something happens, he'll pull the commission from it. And so it's stressful you have to be perfect in there, and you have to be able to, create a sense of urgency and like overcome people's objections. So I'm like manipulating people all day long. It's draining, and I had to really work hard to get what I got today. It was just being a salesman, like stay in fucking school and do something worthwhile. Like my husband has a degree in psychology and like a minor in biology. And he could have had a minor in chemistry. He just had to take a couple more classes. And he graduated cum laude from the University of New Orleans. That's where we met. But he works for UPS. I mean, because he didn't further his education. And here in the States, you have to go to high school, I mean, until you're like 18. And then you graduate. And then you have to sit there and do like 4 years of college. And then if you want a master's degree, you have to do 2 years. If you want a PhD, that's 2 more years. So you're in school for a long time. And for what? And I mean, I have a degree in fine art, like a 4-year degree, but it's like, I can't even use that right now. Like if I try to get a job at like a place where I can, design kitchen cabinets, or closets or do any kind of decorating work or be like a decorator for a department store or something like that. I mean, they're going to run my name and that's going to be it. So I have to do this for right now. Well, see, like with me and Joe, my husband did not work during school. Lindsay's like, hello, school bills. They want you in debt, so you will be their slave. And see, my husband's got like, he still owes, he's 40 years old. I'm 42 and he's 40, but he still owes like right around 20,000. We've paid off a lot of it, but see, I had scholarship, but I worked, and he had a scholarship, but he took out loans to live on. So he fucked up. Corey says she's got to go. Love y'all. See you, Corey. And it's true. I mean, Scott says 99% of school is nonsense. It's true. That's why I tell my kids, like, if you want to do something, like, pick it and just go with it and make sure it's like useful. Like, I have a daughter that wants to get into graphic design. I'm like, don't waste your time on a 4-year degree. Go to a technical school that teaches that. Like, if you just want to be behind a computer, because right now she has like a laptop and she's got this thing, it looks like a large mouse pad, and she's got different pens or whatever she can use on it. And when she draws, I mean, she's staring at the screen, but she's drawing on this pad, you know? And I mean, this her art's really good. I mean, she's got a lot of it posted online. She's got a society 6 page or 9 or whatever. So she, she does well. Poppy said that system is changing now. College isn't always the best. Yeah, it hadn't been the best choice for a long, long time. Because we were always taught, oh, you get a degree. And it was true in my case, but I screwed up. But for my husband, I mean, when he got out of college, he spent all that time and did so well. And he was basically wrestling down mental patients like back then in the 90s for like $8.25 an hour for the state. So Poppy said, I had loans, but in about a year they'll be forgiven because of disability. Oh, thank God. Oh, Eva's coming on at 3 a.m. Is that right now? What is that in Central Time? Dark Wolf's 10. When I grow up, I want to be a Mandela Effect researcher. Dark Wolf, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It seems kind of pointless. All of this has made it's made a lot of things kind of pointless for me in a way, you know, like just material goals and just all that bullshit. It's just kind of, I mean, I'm just out there trying to like pay my mortgage and feed my kids, basically. Like, I'm not worried about having the latest, like, bullshit that doesn't mean anything. Okay. Ashley said student loans are forgiven if you go on disability. Yeah. Poppy Elm says you need a PhD to do anything in psychology, and that's true. And see, my parents like used some connections and got him like a faculty scholarship to like Tulane Medical School in New Orleans. And he was sitting there like, getting ready to do it. And I could tell he was having issues, like he just didn't want to. And so I sat him down. We were still dating at this time. And I sat him down and I was like, Joe, do you want to be a doctor? I mean, do you want to go to medical school? Do you want to be a psychiatrist? He's like, no, I really don't. I said, then why are you doing it? He's like, because that's what I've always been told I was going to do. And I just told him, I was like, fuck that. Do what you want to do. We're adults. I mean, they don't pay our bills. So, ooh, yay. I like Eva. Poppy says it's a special application. You have to be permanently disabled. Damn. We, Dark Wolf says, in my opinion, no one needs a degree to have knowledge, and that's true. I mean, I'm that kind of person. Like I sit there and I self study online all the time. If I want to know about something, I just I look it up. I use it like a library. So I don't know. My daughter came in here. Both my kids are affected, and so is my husband. So my oldest daughter, who's 17, she comes in here and she was like, "Mom." I'm like, "What?" She said, "Did you ever read what was it? God bless it, it was right on the tip of my mind. Um, the movie, the book and the movie with Pony Boy in it. I can't remember what it is. Ashley, The Outsiders. Thank you. So she was like, "Have you ever read The Outsiders?" And I was like, "Yeah, we had to. It was required reading in high school. I had to write a report on it." And she said the letter at the end. He said, What does he say?" He says, "Stay." And I'm like, "Golden, stay golden." And she was like, "No." And that's bullshit. She said, "Because I sat there and and it's funny to see like your kids like get mad over changes. And I get mad every time somebody I know, I mean, like I saw their funeral or and I know they died for a fact, come back to life. It kind of pisses me off. But now it's like stay gold, not stay golden. So, like in the movie version. I don't know about the book. I'd have to look that up. But she was like, apparently it was a change a long time ago, and I didn't know about that one either. Stay golden, honey boy. Yeah, Patrick. Now watch the movie again. Now it's like stay gold. It's so stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. And see, that's the thing. I mean, what if it like if they say stay gold? What if it's correction? Because I mean, have you ever held like a 24 karat gold bar? It's got a vibration to it. It feels, it does something to you. And I can see why ancient people like chased it and why people chase it today. I mean, I consume it and I feel like it's helped my health. So maybe that's, God trying to tell me to stay on my gold because, I've been thinking about like trying to eliminate some metals to see if that helps. I don't know, but I'm always experimenting with vitamins and things like that. Stay gold because you need. Goddess is saying, why would you stay gold? Because I mean, you need those noble metals in your blood. If you don't have copper, silver, and gold in your blood, like a enough of a supply, your body will start to replace it with like aluminum. And there's a lot of aluminum like in our lives and there's a lot of it in the atmosphere. And because I'm in Mississippi and it's a farming state, and agriculture is really big here. Um, there are a lot of studies about like the amount of aluminum that's in the soil, and then it's in the food supply, it's in the water supply. That's why I filter my house so hardcore. We have like a whole house filter. Then we have a filter that makes it alkaline, and then I have it going through a couple different things. So, I mean, I even filtered my shower head. You can go buy a filter for your shower head, so it goes through a whole house filter, like when I shower, and then plus it goes through another filter in my shower head. And I just can't go to the store and buy deodorant either. Like, I'm allergic to aluminum. And so I believe that it's part of the cause of the autoimmune reactions that I have. So I make sure I take enough gold, copper, and colloidal silver. Yeah, and see, Ashley's saying stay gold, stay true. Yeah, I mean, it could mean that too. I think these things are messages. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And so I'm always trying to decode, like, what is it trying to say to me? Like, what does this mean? And for a long time, I knew it was a pattern. I knew it was saying something, but it didn't occur to me to really sit there and study it in relation to what's going on in my life at that moment. Let's see. See, and Ashley's saying, "Oh my God, I heard Stay Gold from the Run the Jewels album, which changed my life." I don't know if it changed. I'd heard the phrase before. And see, like, if that album changed your life, and I said the statement, "Stay Gold," like I brought that up, that could be a message for you. Ashley. That's the thing. And see, I choose to believe that it's God speaking to us. Really believe that, you know, because if you start to really look that stuff up, you know, study about it. Look that stuff up. If you think you're the elect, look up the elect in the Bible. Look up the elect in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Like, see what they say about it. It could be a message for you. And really look around. There could my dogs. There could be something supernatural in your environment that's trying to communicate with you. And see, I had a priest tell me years ago. He was an older Irish priest that we had, Father Carroll, and he was a really good guy. But he used to tell us that the reason that we can't be in God's presence is because he's so holy, like it would destroy us. Because we all have free will. And if you're not. Excuse you, Penny. What? What? Would you please take the dog out? Rachel.
Come on, y'all.
Thank you. I know you hear her barking at me.
Come on, you go pee pee.
Sorry about that. See, anytime I get on a good roll, stuff like that interferes. So at any rate, Lynn's V says, thank you, Martha, for that info. We have colloidal silver, and it was recommended gold as well. Yeah, and that's something that I have an immunologist that I go to. It's real hard to even get in with her. I had to wait I want to say 8 months to get an appointment initially. But she's also an herbalist, and she'll sit there and tell you all these alternative treatments because she studies rheumatoid arthritis, like lupus, psoriasis, conditions like that. Ashley says I'm hot. Thank you. Let's see. And Lynn said I stopped using deodorant about a month ago. Yeah, I can't use aluminum deodorant. I just can't use it. I buy this stuff. I used to make it. That's a pain in my butt. So I buy this kind of high end stuff that's made out of. It's got coconut oil and arrowroot powder and baking soda and whatever. And I think it's also got some type of goat's milk product. It's in a little jar. It's not cheap, but it works. I don't smell bad or anything. Lynn's V says, now I use fractionated. I know that means that it's been purified and it's not chunky. Coconut oil and that rock salt roll-on stuff. Yeah. Scott, that's mean. No, I use it. I use this stuff. I pay $15 for a little jar of it, but it works. I'm running all day long. So Ashley says, also we sin and we're imperfect and he cannot be in the presence of sin. Yeah, that's what the priest was trying to tell us. It would destroy us to be around him.
Did Abby or Penny beg to go out?
Penny.
Okay. Let's put Abby in the kennel.
No, Abby didn't care. Yeah, it really changes you. It's almost like when you use the deodorant, like the regular deodorant, you smell worse if you're not using it. See, Lynn said, yes, and it's a liquid. It doesn't smell like a hippie. Yeah, mine smells like mango and citrus or something. It smells really good. Patrick Roberts says, so we will never get a hug from God because we may be destroyed in his presence because we are sinners. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's I mean, I've felt like the presence of God. There are people who claim they have direct contact with God. You know, my husband says that he does. You know, I have a daughter that speaks to him, and they feel like his physical presence. But I mean, that's something a priest told me, so I don't know. Poppy, those recipes for the deodorants are easy. I mean, it's just you basically use like the coconut. You don't have to use the defractionated coconut oil. You can use regular coconut oil. Just something that's like I wouldn't use something that's flavored. But yeah, you just use essential oils like and if you use baking soda, be careful. Some baking soda does have aluminum in it. I don't know why they do that. I think probably just to mess people up. But and people may come on here and think, well, what the fuck does this have to do with Mandela effects? I think it has something to do with it because if you purify your body and your mind, and you get a hold of your emotions, you can look up and you can start to see that you've been systematically poisoned, um, you know, infiltrated with radio waves and radiation, distracted by television, and the media, and advertisements. All that stuff is there to program you. And because people want to say that it's evil to say that you're a creator being, but if we're created in God's likeness and image, therefore we are creator beings in a sense. I don't think believe we're as powerful as God is, and I think that's why we have to come here to be raised, you know? Because I mean, his first creation, he made exactly like himself, and it, went AWOL. And I don't know if he's capable of destroying him. I don't know that. Maybe he loves him. People don't think about that. Look at the book of Job. I mean, they would walk and talk. That's what it says. And you would just think, I mean, if he's all powerful, he must be able to destroy him. Well, maybe he can't. Maybe we don't know that. Maybe he does love him. Maybe if he destroys him, he hurts himself. Maybe he exploded his DNA apart to make all of us. You know, there's a lot of possibilities. And Papillon says we can all speak to God, and I believe that's true. And a lot of people talk about NPCs, and I've talked about them too. I mean, and it's distressing to see people that are just like in a zombie state. Like I'll see people and I'll be like, "Look around, guys! The zombie apocalypse is here." But I just believe they're very connected to whatever this control system grid is, and that's why they can't look up and see reality for what it is. That's not. There's nothing permanent here, and or if they do see it, they just they don't want to be inconvenienced by thinking about it. But I think it's important to wake people like that up. And when I'm not talking about like talking to people and being like, oh, have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? I never do that. I'm not anymore. I made that mistake in the beginning, in the very beginning, when I realized that it was a phenomenon, or that there was something to it and it had a name. But now what I do is I show people like compassion, kindness, but that's the way I deal with it, you know? Because what good is it if you can see this and other people can't, and you're not trying to pull them up to your vibration? If you sit there and you care for someone, it may be the only time anybody's ever done that for them. I remember when I was in prison, I was if you were educated or whatever, they wanted you to be like a GED tutor. So I was a GED tutor, and there was a young girl, and she was my, I lived in this work facility, And in each dormitory at that place, I mean, I was at a big prison for a while, like the state prison, and then I got transferred to a work facility, and it was smaller. And at that place, each zone where you lived was like a big open room with bunk beds, and there was probably about like 25 women per zone. And so I had this little girl, and she came in, and she was on my top bunk. She was like 19 years old. It was like her second or third time being in trouble with the law. And she's going to big girl prison. So she would just, at that time, like because I was in that work facility and I was sitting there doing like a job that somebody should have been getting paid for, they were getting it both ways. They were getting money from the state to take care of me, plus they were getting the saved money from not having to pay a secretary at the Board of Education or wherever they had me work in the town. They had us work these civil jobs. So I would sit there. They would allow us to have like yarn, like I could crochet. I could have like a box of something like that every month, and they would allow my family to send me a box of like commissary, like whatever, like shampoo and things like that, which was a real luxury in prison. And so I would sit there and just crochet because I didn't want to engage with any of these with a lot of the people in there because it's not a great place. So this little girl though, she would come and I could see her watching me, like wanting to talk to me, and she kind of reminded me of like maybe one of my kids, and except my kids were kind of younger then. And I was like, hey, I was like, you can sit down, and I would talk to her, and I became her GED tutor. She was trying to get her GED. She had dropped out like as a freshman in high school, and she was almost finished. We were taking like one part at a time, and she was like struggling with the math part, and I was helping her learn it. And she looked at me one night, and she kind of cried and was like, she said, the other day you asked me what were my plans when I got out. She said, nobody's ever cared enough to even ask me what I thought about what my plans were going to be with my life. You know, I mean, and her mom was like a drunk, and, just she bounced around from relative to relative. She was used up by boys. She had a tragic kind of life. And the only structure she could get was being in prison. That's really sad. That's the only consistency she ever had. So, and if any of you have kids, you know that routine's important. But she would tell me, you've made such a difference in my life. I still talk to her. She's doing well. She ended up like getting out and going to beauty school and doing something with her life. And that GED got her there. And I helped her. I mean, I didn't have to sit there and help her. I could have just been like, sorry, I don't want to do that. Or, but that girl sees these changes. What if I had not helped her? I'm just saying. I mean, I feel like God put her in my path, and I mean, she's a person. I mean, she's asked me, have you ever heard of this? And I'm like, yeah. And we've talked about like all kinds of theories, like flat Earth and whatever. So, you know, you can help wake people up like that. I mean, and it's a roundabout way, but it's a way to do it. I don't know. There's more to it. I mean, yeah, you see that a logo has changed. Now, what do you do with it? Because if you're the kind of person that you can see through the bullshit, you can cut through the bullshit here. Because if you think that there aren't people in the know that are trying to keep you from knowing, you're fooling yourself. You're just dreaming. Because it is like that. There are people that run this world that don't want you to know. And whether they just be like evil entities or whether it's, you know, bloodlines of families. I mean, it's a real thing, you know. Maybe there are some people that, think that that's stupid and bullshit or whatever, but I don't. And I know in my heart that that girl would not have the knowledge she has. She wouldn't have the life she has. She'd probably be back in prison, just running with the same programmed bullshit over and over and over again if I hadn't just made the decision to help somebody else, you know? I mean, and I mean, all of us can do that. And I'm sure many of us have. I'm sure many have. I don't doubt that because we're the kind of people who do stuff like this. And it does change this world and it does change your environment. And, it's just like I was saying with the body changes. Does it change? Um, does it stay the same if you don't observe it? Or if you're just like, I think it's like one or the other. Like if you're the kind of person like you just don't want to observe it, it may not change for you. That's just what I think. That's like a latest theory I have. Or if you're just so asleep, maybe you just automatically change. It's possible. Anything's possible, isn't it? Once something you know for a fact changes, everything's off the table. All possibilities are possible. I mean, you can't sit there and tell somebody something is, not right with this. You just can't. And I've seen that there are people who want to like put parameters around it and definitions and so we can all be on the same page. I just don't think that's possible. That's just my opinion. I mean, if there are some people that want to sit there and define things and well, we've got to call it this and we've got to form a committee, that kind of thing is the reason we're in the state we're in right now. Because somebody decided there had to be government, there had to be a ruling class, there had to be definitions, there had to be, you know, rules and regulations. You have to put it into a category. I just don't think you can put this into a category. I just don't think that's possible. Just because people's minds don't work the same. People are individuals. We're like fingerprints. Well, yeah, we're similar, but I think at the end of the day, you have to be the kind of person. I mean, if you're an affected person, you have to be the kind of person who's just willing to accept whatever comes. You know, it isn't one thing or another thing, or I mean, and what you think can change too, just like the past can change. Just like the color of your eyes can change. I mean, if those things can change, there's nothing set in stone. I think the only thing there that is set in stone, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, is your free will. So take it for what it's worth. I mean, we all have decisions to make about this, I think. So I don't know. That's my rant. I've gone off on a tangent. Everybody sends Chinook some voodoo to make her feel better. Linsby says, Popiel, if you can shock your system with a change, no carbs. Yeah, I think carbs are important in their own way. Yeah, who knows? I think sometimes what's good for one is not good for the other. You just have to keep experimenting and see what works for you. Poppy Elm says, I think some terms would help us understand each other, but I hear what you're saying. But that's the thing, like you may be the kind of person where you need that, and that's okay too. But like for me, I don't know. I don't need it. It's not something I need. I mean, my husband's like that. Like things have to be like, or he's an orderly person. That's how he makes sense of the chaos. He likes to pay our bills, like that kind of thing. Like he's that kind of person. Like if it were me, if I was in control of our money in our household, I would just spend it all every month because like what does it fucking matter? But there are some people who just need like order and structure and there's some people who just don't. But, you know, I mean, I want to, be a hippie and live in a geodome in the woods. So what do I know? I don't think there should even be money. I think we should be like raising chickens and bartering and living tribe life, like a tribe like existence. I mean, there's going to be some people that don't agree with that, and that's fine too. I mean, everybody's got the right to think and do what they want to do. So as long as you're not hurting anybody. Hmm. Who is Jack? Let's see. Sorry, I've been sitting here talking and brushing my dogs. Okay, so I can see y'all are still talking about shills and things. I think Lindsay says it's very cool to have those experiences. Love that story. I like the slow wake up. Yeah. Let's see. Puppy Elm says that's why I'm saying it's not detox. I ended up in a hospital. Oof. Hey, Poppy, you ought to look into this book that I've heard about. This book. I've thought about ordering it, but I'm not real sure. And it's like called Detox Your Childhood. And this woman goes through like this series. She's got a YouTube channel, but she goes through like a series of detoxes, and it takes her. I mean, it takes her a long time. I think damn near a year. But you look at like a before and after picture of this girl. I'm telling you, like her hair turned blonde. It had like turned from blonde to brown. As she grew up, and her eye color had kind of changed. And she did these detoxes because she had a bunch of health issues. And man, I mean, she was like, my hair color's back to its original color. My eye color is different. And I found that to be true too. The more I backed off of animal products, the brighter my eyes got, just the color. And also, I take like selenium. And I noticed after I started taking it that colors seemed brighter to me, like I could see better, just in general. I don't know. It's for what it's worth. Mm. Lens V says, after I lost my hubby's best friend to suicide in November 2016, I told myself I would always help and not stay silent. Yeah. Little things can make a big ripple effect in someone's life. Yeah. Scott Balo says, I found out that I might have possibly saved someone's life just by saying I thought they were awesome. It really freaked me out. So I always try to remember to tell everyone I appreciate them. Or like, yeah, like I used to wait tables like part time. And I would, a lot of the kids were like fresh out of high school and just getting into college. And they would talk, kids want to be noticed even when they're like in their very early 20s. And some of them would like say things. I would catch little things they would say about something that maybe they were proud of. And I would turn and I'd be like, wow, you did that. That's really awesome. And, you're such a smart person, or just a compliment. And it just makes all the difference. I don't know. Hey, Shookum, are you a aren't you like a healer? Do you do that for a living? I don't know why I think I got that impression that you do. If you do brushing on a schedule, they can benefit. Hmm. Second level Reiki. I don't get money for it. Yeah. Have you ever been? The reason I'm asking is have you ever heard about like forming like a healing center that's like free to people? What do you think about something like that? Corey J says, "I'm back. Is this ending?" No, because I don't know who goes on after me or what the deal is. I don't have any notifications. I don't think. Shookum says, "I have a friend who has one, but it's not free and pretty cheap." Hmm. I don't know. I think that stuff should be free. Goddess of the Four Winds says, Martha, yes, catch them doing something good. I never told my kid he was bad. I would tell them they had done bad thing. You know, my kids are little, like I never punished them for age appropriate behavior. And people used to hate me for that. Like I would be that mom. I would go in the doctor's office and my kids would like pull all the magazines down. I mean, they were little, like right around a year old. And they would laugh about it. And I would just go over there and pick them up, put them back. I never like fussed at them or Chicken says, I want to go into something I could do for income. Yeah, occupational therapy. Well, see, but like if you had a free healing center, like you could only do that if you had like a commune, really, like a cooperative. If you lived on a cooperative, night fuckers. Linsby says we do what we need to do and don't worry about what others think. My 6 year old always looked double her age, so she never seemed to act her age. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that was nice. Um, Shook 'em when you did that for the chat room. That was cool. I'm open to anything that might work, just as long as like I don't recognize it from my childhood. Like I don't. There's some things like I don't want to like pull on any dark energies, but I know that I don't think that I need to look into it, but I don't think that's like that because if it was, I don't think you'd be doing it. Yeah, that's the thing. You seem like a really kind person. You know, Goddess was like, and yeah, I don't get mad at my kid when he did things he was just doing because he was a kid. Like people who get mad at their dogs for barking at another dog. I know it's like it's a freaking dog. Shim says I worked with twins on the spectrum and they were almost nonverbal. Wow. When I had to take my daughter, my youngest, to the neurologist because of she used to have seizures in her sleep. She had like rolantic epilepsy, really, and I used to have to take her to the neurologist, and I can remember sitting there, and she was very young, and she's got like really curly like red hair, like a really kind of a bright auburn red hair, real pretty color, thick, and she's got like porcelain skin and these really dark brown eyes, like so brown that they're kind of red in color. So she's a real pretty girl, and she was just running around, and they had a lot of kids there that were like in wheelchairs that couldn't communicate. Going to a pediatric neurologist, you're going to see that, and that's the bulk of it. And I could just see those parents looking at Rachel, just, you know, kind of wistfully. So when you have a baby, you don't expect that, It's just so sad. I mean, it makes me emotional thinking about it. It's just, I couldn't imagine that struggle, you know. It's really compassionate to work with kids like that. Hey, have you ever heard of like reverse speech? Because my husband's all into it, and we've got programs that analyze people's speech. So anyway, but he'll sit there and he'll sit there and pore over what people say for hours. But anyway, I saw something on YouTube where they did that with kids who couldn't communicate. They would sit there and record them and listen to them. You like listen to them backwards, like in 70% of the speed, between 70 and 80% fast, and they could hear them speaking backwards, that you can hear it. And usually they're saying like "I love you, mom" and things like that. It's really heartbreaking. Let's see. See, that's really cool. Meds must be finally checking in. Yeah, it's 12:23. I probably should end this so I can, um, you know, recharge. Even Corey Jade could tell I wasn't, not in the best mood. There's something wrong with whatever energy spike we just had. I mean, it was just like, I think it kind of agitated a lot of us. So I know I've been agitated for a couple days, but I mean, it seems to have agitated like almost everyone, because even just like the typical person on the street seems a little, and I've noticed people are driving like shit for the last 2 days too. It's just crazy. No bouncing balls in the house and no slamming doors. Yeah, the reverse speech is really weird. And that guy David Oates that did it. Good night, Linsby. Yeah, we're all connected anyway. But yeah, the guy who developed it, his name's David Oates. To take his courses, I mean, he wants like $4,000 for a 6-month course. Like, I don't think so. I could sit there and figure that stuff out. That's what my husband did. And I signed up for emails for him, and he called me himself from England, wanting to know if he could take a credit card over the phone. I was like, no, that's okay. So Patrick says, tell your husband to listen to my videos and do reverse speech. I want to know how it turns out. Patrick, you would probably be saying the same thing in reverse that you're saying forward. I don't think that you're deceitful in any way. Says Martha, pretty please, can you come on my stream? Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is like if you're going to do it through Google Hangouts, you just have to send send me the link to the Hangout, and then that way I can join it. You just copy the link and just paste it into like your messenger or something and send it to me, and I can open it up and get in it. Or you can email it. You can send it to my Gmail. Let's see. I'm going to put my email on here. I spelled it right. Yeah, I did. And Wynn, and if you're wondering about that name, Wynn, Wynnne, I think it's Scottish for fair. That's my youngest daughter's middle name, and then Moon is my oldest daughter's middle name. So that's why it's called that. My little crocheting business, my little side hustle. Yeah, Scotty's awesome. If you ever want to learn, I'll Skype with you. It's very easy. I've taught many, many people over the years how to do it. I usually like to go sit in. I have a couple friends that work at some retirement homes, and I'll go sit in there with the old ladies, and we'll have tea and talk. And I don't know. I think people are interesting. So yeah, that reverse speech stuff is crazy, and I don't know why it's not more of a phenomenon. But oh, Shikam says she does it a lot when she has time. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I have like sets of steel hooks where I use the thread, and then I also do stuff with yarn. Some of that yarn's kind of shitty though, but damn. Get PTSD, and I got so mad at my dad I couldn't speak. I just kept not talking. Things got worse from there. I haven't spoken to my parents in 4 years. Yeah, I have a rough time talking to mine. So, I mean, just the things that they allowed other people to do to us as we were kids. I mean, especially after having your own kids, it's like, I mean, I have one sister. My oldest sister is 9 years older than me. She left the country when she was 19 to get the fuck away from them, and married a guy from Cyprus, and they lived like in the mountains in Kiparunda, Cyprus. So she's long gone, but she spent 2.5 years in a mental hospital back in the 80s. So I mean, and nobody did that back then. And then my brother is just like I mean, he's like a basket case. He like lives in my parents' house, like in one of the spare bedrooms, and he comes out to eat, and that's basically it. And then there's me. I'm the fighter. I just, no matter what happens, I just keep pulling myself up by my bootstraps and keep on walking. That's the key to it. I'll have to look into that guy too. Not that not that I'm going to be healing anybody, but I always think that stuff's interesting. They used to be really cool, and now they're bigots. I don't understand it all, and they don't get my kid. And see, that's why a lot of times you'll hear people who are affected say things like my parents are strangers or they change. Like those aren't my parents. I mean, I've felt that same thing. It's not a good feeling. It really isn't a good feeling to realize that. I mean, and even when you're mistreated as a kid, I mean, you still look at your parents. They're still your parents. You still, it's on some level, want their approval and want some type of relationship with them. But yeah, it's hard. And I think these chats are like a good thing. They're like even if we're just like sitting around like just talking about random stuff, I think it's a good thing because we can't do this in real life really. I like made some kind of joke the other day. Somebody said something, and I made a joke like in here everybody would have gotten it, but out there, like they were just like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought y'all were talking about something else." And I just kind of turned around and walked off. Like I lost myself for a second. So, oh, there's an application. Let's see if somebody's coming up. If anybody ever gets bored, there's this guy called Flat Out Elected, and I like that guy. He just posted something. He's like an old guy, and he kind of yells at the camera, but he's got good messages. Scott Bayless says, "Yeah, this is a different world in these chats, and it really is, man." Hey, did you see Scott? Did you see Jason Christopher's yesterday? That one was pretty cute, where he was taking like phone calls. She said I subbed him, and he subbed back. Yeah, he's a good guy. Gotta said about her parents, they were open minded and tolerant and had an open door. Now my dad talks about bombing the Middle East and that kind of stuff and worse. It's because he's been programmed by CNN. Especially like my parents are like that. They either have on Fox News or CNN. I mean, and it's loud and it's all day because they're retired. I mean, they're older. Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's like you feel comfortable. And my husband doesn't like it. He doesn't understand this, but I just, I mean, even with him, you know, I don't really feel like, I mean, we can see the same things and we can talk about stuff, but, you know, he's into some different stuff than I am, you know. So, like he thinks like every single actor and actress in Hollywood is the reverse gender. Like he thinks all kinds of stuff. He's really into like flat earth and I mean, we've done, some researching on our own, like and actually gone out like with other people that we know like in real life and have researched and done experiments and stuff like, you know, back a few years back, but still once we realized that the math didn't work, I mean, it was just we were obsessed with that for a bit. Scott Bayless says, "I actually agree." And then, see, I do too, but it's like I can't sit there and just watch that stuff over and over again. And Lindsay's like, "I agree with him on the trans movement in Hollywood." Yeah, I mean, and see, sometimes I wonder if that's a Mandela effect or if that's just the way it is. Because I mean, I know that stuff does happen. I mean, I know people that live like that, you know. And it is, it's a satanic practice to sit there and transgender your child before they even understand what's happening to them. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't sit there and just point at somebody and be like, and some of those videos, it's very shocking, some of the stuff he watches. And some of it, it's like, you see these like female to males, you cannot tell. That is the one that like really sticks. It just seems like it's so much easier for a man to turn into well, for a woman to turn into a man. Like 'cause testosterone just changes you so much, like your shoulder blades, it makes your face bigger. I mean, it's just the results are shocking from that. Oh, like, listen, I have, my daughters are, 16 and 17, and my youngest daughter is a lesbian, and so she has kids. I mean, all of the like younger generation have been programmed to think that they're like multiple genders, which is kind of odd to me, but whatever. And so she has friends that are like that. I mean, I have a coworker, it's a transgender guy. He works for Walmart. I mean, I see him on Facebook, and he's just like always posting like people's reactions to him, and so I'm a live and let live kind of person. I'm not going to judge anyone. That's not my place, and I don't really have an opinion on it one way or another. It's just kind of bizarre. My point was like my husband watches all kinds of shit, so it's hard for us to relate. That's why I do this. All right, y'all. I'm really going this time, but I do love y'all, and I appreciate you listening to me ramble because I know that's what most of my videos are. There's no researching. There's just rambling and you know just varied thoughts of it's like a collective of stuff I read and see and like experiences I have in my life. But y'all have a good night. And I think Dark Wolf will probably broadcast in a couple minutes. So you ought to check it out. I mean, it's really fascinating, especially if he continues on with what we were doing last night. It was super super fascinating. I recommend like subscribing and making sure you catch some of his streams during the week. All right. Well, good night, Patrick, my little boo bear. And don't worry, tomorrow while I'm off, I'll make your hat, and then you'll have to like message me or email me your address so I can send it to you. I love you so much, and I mean that. Lynn's, you're my favorite beautiful friend. Good night, Scott Balo. And I love y'all. If you need anything, you can always message me. I mean, I'm usually up or I work during the day, but like if you need something, I mean, I'm easy to find on Facebook and stuff like that. And on my banner, there are my social media channels. Like I have Facebook and Instagram. You can always try to message me and I'll respond. But I love y'all. If you need anything, let me know. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, y'all.